Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment when a woman becomes so powerful, so grounded, and so quietly strong that a man does not just notice her, he feels her absence deep in his bones. Not because she is loud or trying hard to prove anything, but because her quiet actions speak louder than any words ever could. When she stops chasing after attention, when she protects her own peace, and when she walks with a confidence that does not beg, negotiate, or explain, something important shifts inside him. Suddenly, the same men who once took her for granted cannot stop thinking about her and her presence. Tonight, I am going to share the quiet moves that make men lose their minds over a woman who carries herself with grace and strength. There comes a time in every woman's life when she realizes that her silence holds more power than any long explanation she could ever give. Not because she is hiding something or playing games, but because she finally understands that her true value shows most clearly through her actions, her clear standards, and the way she carries herself without needing permission, approval, or loud praise. And that is where these quiet moves start to create a real change inside a man's thoughts, because they reveal a woman who knows exactly who she is, even when no one is watching her. If you want to know the silent moves that make men obsessed, hit like right now. One gentle move is choosing peace over unnecessary chaos. You do not fight every battle, respond to every provocation, or defend yourself against every misunderstanding. Instead, you let your calm presence speak for you. A man feels the absence of a woman who has mastered her peace, because her steady energy brings balance, and without it, something important is missing. Another move is refusing to repeat yourself. You do not beg a man to change or keep asking him to do better. You speak once with clarity, then let your actions reflect your words. When he sees you would rather walk away than lower your standards, respect begins to grow. And where respect exists, genuine desire follows. Focusing on your own purpose, growth, passions, and life also creates a quiet strength that naturally attracts people instead of chasing them. The silence of true self-respect is equally powerful. The moment you stop accepting behavior that goes against your worth, a man realizes he must either step up or step away. You do not need dramatic exits or loud arguments. You simply choose yourself with quiet consistency and confidence, a choice that echoes louder than words. Another silent move is giving space instead of pressure, understanding that real connection needs room to grow naturally. You give him time to think, reflect, and experience what life feels like without your presence. Your silence becomes a mirror, and what he sees in it shapes the kind of man he chooses to become. You also learn to control your reactions, responding with intention instead of panic, anger, or fear. This calm composure reflects emotional maturity and encourages greater respect, making him more mindful of what he brings into your life together. Another silent move is caring for your appearance and well-being, not to impress anyone, but because you value yourself. As you invest in your health, confidence, and personal growth, your natural glow becomes impossible to ignore. Men notice a woman who improves herself out of self-respect rather than for approval. And that quiet confidence becomes deeply attractive. Comment peace if you're done chasing and ready to become unforgettable. You also speak less and observe more. Instead of relying on promises, you watch his effort, consistency, and actions, allowing truth to guide your decisions instead of hope alone. This quiet wisdom leaves little room for excuses. At the same time, you stop competing for a place in his life or measuring your worth by his attention. You stand confidently, knowing that what is truly meant for you will arrive with respect and remain with genuine intention. A woman who no longer fights to be chosen often becomes the woman worth fighting for. And then there is the move of emotional independence, when your happiness no longer depends on a man's behavior or moods. When you do not break down every time he pulls away, when you do not fall apart because he could not meet a need right away, he starts seeing you in a different and better light. He realizes you are whole and complete on your own. You are someone he can enjoy but never fully control. That realization is both humbling and exciting for a man because it forces him to approach you with admiration instead of any sense of entitlement. One of the most powerful silent moves a woman can make is disappearing quietly when she is not valued properly. Not in a dramatic or angry way, not with loud words, but with quiet dignity. You simply remove yourself from places where you are not appreciated. You step back from conversations that drain your energy. You let go of connections that take more than they give. And you do all of it with grace and strength. That move stays in a man's mind because it shows him what life looks like when a woman who once gave him warmth decides she is done giving without receiving anything good back. A quiet transformation begins when you choose your emotional well-being over the need to be loved at any cost. You stop trying to save relationships that are sinking, forcing connections that no longer feel right, or apologizing for wanting respect and care. In doing so, you become stronger and steadier. A man is deeply affected by a woman who refuses to lose herself for love. One of the most powerful, silent moves is keeping parts of your life sacred. Allowing someone to discover you gradually instead of revealing everything at once. Type silent if you've ever noticed a man change when you stopped chasing. You do not rush to share every feeling or every part of your life. Instead, you allow deeper trust to be earned over time, creating healthy pacing rather than mystery for its own sake. At the same time, you quietly raise your standards without making announcements. You simply stop accepting less than you deserve. When a man realizes old behaviors no longer reach your heart, he naturally begins to reflect on the kind of person he must become to truly meet you. The most powerful silent move is becoming genuinely happy within yourself. A woman who radiates peace, joy, and purpose leaves a lasting impression because her value comes from the life she has built, not from someone else's attention. What stays in a man's mind is not only her beauty, but the depth behind her eyes, the strength behind her silence, and the purpose that fills her life. When you stop over-investing your energy too soon, your presence gains lasting value because it comes from confidence, balance, and self-respect. When you stop giving too much too soon, everything begins to change. You no longer offer your energy, attention, or affection without seeing whether he is investing with the same sincerity. He notices that you are not clinging, chasing, or making him the center of your identity. Instead, you allow the connection to unfold naturally. Another quiet strength is practicing real patience. Not passive waiting, but the confidence to let things develop in their own time while staying true to your standards. A woman who patiently protects her standards is not rushing to belong to someone who is unsure of her. She waits for genuine alignment instead of temporary attention. And that calm confidence stands out against chaos. Another powerful silent move is handling disappointment with grace. Instead of reacting with anger or questioning your worth, you pause, think clearly, and simply adjust the access someone has to your life. Comment queen if you're claiming your power starting today. Emotional self-control is another quiet strength that changes everything. You stop chasing reassurance, panicking when someone pulls away, or depending on constant validation to feel secure. That inner stability shows a man your presence is a privilege, not something to take for granted. He feels the difference between being needed and being freely chosen. And that realization carries real weight. Another silent power is taking full responsibility for your own happiness and the direction of your life. When you do not blame others for your circumstances, when you do not let anyone else control your joy, and when you build your world with clear intention, you show him that you are not waiting for someone to rescue you. You are your own solid foundation. You are your own source of strength and light. And that kind of woman becomes unforgettable because she is not dependent on anyone. She is complementary and adds value. She enhances a man's life, but she does not rely on him to create her own. Another silent shift that deeply affects a man is when you stop returning to old patterns that hurt you. When you finally close the door you used to leave open just a little. When you stop accepting half effort or inconsistent affection. When you choose your peace over his potential every time. The moment he realizes you are no longer available to be taken for granted is the moment he understands he may have underestimated the true value of your presence in his life. Nothing breaks a man's composure like realizing the woman he assumed would always be there has found enough strength to walk away with dignity. There is also the silent move of keeping your curiosity about life alive and strong. Type yes if you want me to reveal all 10 silent moves that shift everything. When you keep learning new things, exploring fresh ideas, reading good books, and growing every day while your mind stays active and your dreams stay full of life. A woman who continues to evolve is a woman who becomes increasingly magnetic because she refuses to stay the same version of herself year after year. Men notice when your soul grows deeper, when your ideas become richer, and when your confidence expands naturally. They notice when you become more than you were yesterday in positive ways. That steady evolution captivates them more than any physical attribute ever could on its own. Another powerful move is refusing to react to inconsistency with desperation or sadness. Instead of chasing mixed signals or begging for answers, you let people reveal who they truly are and respond with wisdom. You match distance with healthy space and protect your peace without losing yourself. That calm confidence makes it clear that your emotions cannot be controlled by someone else's uncertainty. A quiet transformation also happens when you stop apologizing for wanting loyalty, consistency, respect, and genuine effort. You no longer lower your standards just to keep someone's attention. You know what you want and express it without fear or hesitation. At the same time, you become unavailable to anything that drains your energy, leaving behind unnecessary drama, confusion, and unhealthy dynamics. Men notice when a woman has outgrown chaos and built a peaceful inner life. Share this with a woman who needs to hear these moves. Another silent strength is staying soft without becoming naive. You keep your kindness, empathy, and warmth while protecting them with healthy boundaries and wise discernment. You learn to love without giving away your power and to care deeply without sacrificing your self-respect. True softness combined with inner strength is rare, and once someone experiences it, they understand how valuable it is and how much they stand to lose if they fail to protect it. Another move that quietly elevates your worth in a man's eyes is when you do not try to prove yourself constantly. You do not explain why you are valuable in long speeches. You do not compete with anyone else. You do not try to convince him that you are the right one for him. You let your presence speak for itself naturally. You allow your energy, your character, your actions, and your heart to be your best proof. This quiet confidence is truly magnetic and attractive. It shows that you understand your own worth without needing any external confirmation from others. Then there is the silent move of adapting without any bitterness in your heart. When something does not go your way, you do not collapse completely. You recalibrate your path wisely. You shift your focus to better things. You redirect your energy positively. You rebuild stronger than before. That kind of resilience is breathtaking to witness. It makes a man see you not as someone who breaks easily under pressure, but as someone who becomes even stronger with every challenge she faces. A woman who can rebuild her own heart is a woman a man will never forget easily. Another silent move is becoming harder to access emotionally in a healthy way. Not closed off completely, just selective with care. You do not open your heart to anyone who has not earned the right to hold it safely. You do not reveal your vulnerabilities to people who have not shown real consistency. You share slowly and intentionally with those who prove they are safe and worthy. This emotional gatekeeping creates a beautiful sense of rarity around you, and rarity is always irresistible to those who value it. And finally, one of the most powerful silent moves of all is when you embody self-love so deeply that it shows in everything you do. In how you speak kindly to yourself, in how you treat your body with respect, in how you make good decisions, in how you walk into a room with confidence, and in how you refuse to abandon yourself for anyone else. This kind of self-love is not loud or showy. It does not need to be. It is deeply felt by everyone around. It radiates outward naturally. It changes the entire atmosphere around you in positive ways. And it is the very thing that makes a man lose his mind over you. Not because he feels entitled to you, but because he knows he is witnessing something rare, something powerful, something truly beautiful. And he fears losing it more than he can ever admit openly. Comment glow if you're working on your own glow up and self-respect. Because once a woman reaches that level of self-love and strength, something else begins to unfold gently. Something subtle, powerful, and impossible to ignore. She starts to move through the world with a quiet certainty that shifts the energy around her wherever she goes. She no longer questions her place in someone's life. She no longer wonders whether she is enough for the right person. She no longer waits for anyone to validate her worth. She becomes the validation herself. She becomes the peace others seek. She becomes the presence that changes the way a man sees everything, including himself and his own path. And another silent move that shakes a man to his core is when you begin protecting your time like it is sacred and valuable. Not in a harsh or dismissive way, but in a way that shows you respect your life's natural rhythm. You do not drop everything for last-minute plans that do not honor you. You do not put your important goals on hold because someone suddenly remembered your worth. You do not rearrange your whole world for someone who has not invested in it properly. This quiet prioritization makes a man realize that if he wants a real place in your schedule, he must earn it with consistent effort, because you are not living on standby, waiting to be chosen. There is also the transformative move of creating emotional distance without creating any emotional drama around it. When you feel someone pulling away, you do not chase after them desperately. You do not interrogate them with questions. You do not panic inside. You simply adjust your energy to match theirs wisely. You step back with calm composure. You let them feel the absence of your presence, the silence of your attention, and the stillness of your affection. And in that space, a man begins to reflect in ways he never did before. He begins to consider what life feels like without your warmth holding things together. That quiet recalibration creates a shift no words ever could achieve on their own. Another silent move that deeply disrupts a man's assumptions is when you start saying no without any guilt in your heart. No to disrespect, no to inconsistency, no to mixed signals, and no to being treated as an almost or a backup plan. Your no becomes a strong boundary and a clear declaration of self-worth all at once. And because you deliver it calmly, firmly, and without hostility, it becomes impossible to argue with reasonably. Men notice when a woman's no becomes stronger than her desire to be liked by everyone. That strength is equal parts intimidating and truly intoxicating. If this is hitting deep, comment mystery below. There is also the silent power of not explaining your choices in detail. When you make a decision, you leave, or you stay, or you pause, or you step back, without long speeches about why. You do not justify everything. You do not over-explain your reasons. You let your actions speak clearly for you. You let your silence clarify the message. A woman who does not explain herself constantly becomes a fascinating mystery. A man wants to decode her thoughtfully. He begins to wonder what shaped her strength, what she truly values, and what she refuses to tolerate anymore. That observational curiosity grows into real attraction, and that attraction grows into deep respect over time. Another move that makes men lose their composure is when you no longer respond to breadcrumbs of effort. When you stop accepting half-effort messages, last-minute invitations, inconsistent behavior, or affection that changes based on his mood. When he gives you the bare minimum, you do not reward it with too much enthusiasm. You meet it with calm neutrality. Not coldness or punishment, just healthy neutrality. Because you know your value is not measured by the scraps you receive from anyone. That quiet neutrality becomes a clear mirror that shows him exactly where he stands with you. And it forces him to either rise up to meet you or fall away naturally. Then comes the subtle power of embracing your feminine energy fully. Not as a strategy, but as your natural and authentic state. When you allow yourself to be soft, receptive, intuitive, and expressive, you awaken something positive in a man that makes him feel grounded in his own masculine energy. This is not about playing any role. It is about returning to your true self. Your softness is not weakness at all. It is strength expressed elegantly and beautifully. It is grace in motion. And when a man sees that you can be both strong and soft, independent and loving, powerful and peaceful at the same time, he realizes he has met someone truly rare and special. Another silent move that changes everything is when you let your standards filter people for you naturally. Instead of scanning every man to see if he is good enough, you let your healthy boundaries do the important work. You stop explaining what kind of treatment you expect. You live it every day. You show it through your actions. You embody it fully. And whoever can match it stays. Whoever cannot falls away naturally without force. This creates a sense of inevitability around your value and worth. A man knows that if he does not treat you well, someone else will appreciate you. Not because you threaten him, but because your energy makes it obvious and clear. And then there is the quiet shift of not letting anyone disrupt your emotional baseline. You stop letting a man's attention determine your daily mood. You stop letting his inconsistency shake your confidence. You stop letting his silence make you doubt your own worth. You maintain your inner balance regardless of what he does or does not do. This emotional stability is rare and powerful. Men feel it immediately when they are around you. It makes them realize they cannot play with your heart the way they might have with others before. Your inner peace becomes your greatest power. Another silent move that affects a man deeply is when you invest in your life outside of him. Your friendships, your career, your hobbies, your health, and your passions. When your happiness comes from multiple good sources, he senses that you are not depending on him alone to fill your world. You are inviting him to complement it beautifully. This takes the pressure off the connection and replaces it with genuine desire. Type boundary if you're done accepting less than you deserve. A woman with a rich and full life becomes irresistible because she becomes someone he wants to be part of, not someone he feels responsible for completely. There is also the quiet power of emotional generosity given selectively and wisely. You are kind, yes. You are thoughtful, yes. You are supportive, yes. But you do not give all of that to everyone around you. You reserve your deep care for those who show they can hold it safely. This selectiveness creates a sense of privilege around your affection. A man begins to cherish every moment you open up because he knows it is not guaranteed. It is earned through consistent effort. Another silent move is healing your old wounds without making someone else responsible for them. You face your past honestly, learn from it, and stop projecting old pain onto new relationships. This emotional maturity creates trust because it shows you are not searching for someone to rescue you, but for a true partner. Earned affection always carries deeper meaning, and that quiet strength naturally draws genuine respect and admiration. Another powerful transformation happens when you choose peace over connection whenever the two conflict. You refuse to sacrifice your inner stability just to keep someone in your life. And you would rather let go than lose yourself. At the same time, you treat yourself with the same kindness you hope to receive from others. You rest when needed, speak gently to yourself, and honor your own needs with compassion. That self-respect changes the way you carry yourself and creates a calm presence others are naturally drawn to. Perhaps the most powerful silent move is letting go of potential and seeing people for who they truly are. You stop building fantasies about what someone might become and begin making decisions based on reality instead of hope alone. From that clarity comes real confidence. And from confidence comes the quiet magnetism that attracts the right person naturally. Like this video, comment which silent move you're using first, and subscribe to master the art of making him lose his mind over you.